All of the food we eat and much of the clothing we wear comes from plants and animals that are raised on farms. Farms are different in type, in size, and even in name.
Welcome to Barn Talk. What happens at the barn stays in the barn until today. We're going to let it all out for you guys. Today is going to be a Barn Talk Hot Topics episode. So we're going to kind of dive into all over the board here. We're going to talk politics. We're going to talk the Chinese balloon. We're going to talk about the new food pyramid scheme that's come out that's controversial. Dad's got a new shirt on here. What would Raul do? And if you listen to Real Vision, we've mentioned it a few times on this show. Dad's more of a watcher and listener of Real Vision than I am, but he's made some good decisions, I think, getting some advice from Raul Paul. So he's a really smart guy, and I follow him on Twitter. But we're going to have a nice little market update. But before we get into that, you guys know the drill. Pay the fee. If you get any value from the show, share it out with your friends, family, coworkers, employees, whoever. You know, the more you guys do that, the better content we can create, the better guests we can get on. So if you laugh, if you get anything, if you feel like the show is worth it, just go ahead and share it. That's all we ask. Leave a review on Spotify or Apple. That really helps us out as well. We're almost to 550 on Spotify, and we're up to like 240 on Apple. So continue to do that, guys. We really appreciate it. Go follow us on TikTok. You'll see all our clips there. YouTube, Facebook, wherever you can find us. Yeah.
We are here for you.
Yeah, I agree.
So, today's market update, I felt so inspired after the State of the Union because our president was so fired up. He's probably still sleeping, I would imagine, because I haven't seen him that excited in I don't know how long. He went on a couple of different rants, but one of the most curious ones to me was he got very passionate about his sworn oath to give the State of the Union. And then he just said, and I'm not going to say it in his excited yet very creaky old voice, that the State of the Union is strong. And I was like, oh, well, all right. I guess we can all go home now because that was all we're here for is the State of the Union is strong, and we can argue that point. But anyway, today's market update is actually pretty damn strong.
I was going to ask you, is it strong?
It is strong because there's a lot of stuff going on that is boosting commodities. So as we speak, Russia announced that they are cutting production 500,000 barrels of oil, which is roughly 5% of their production, which you would think would make oil prices go up. And last time I looked, they were up like $1.50 a barrel. So $79.50 a barrel last time I looked. Markets hadn't quite closed when I cut this. They're closed now, but I don't think it moved much beyond that. But wheat market going crazy, and then that's dragging corn and soybeans with it. Stock market kind of going the other way because of the Russian offensive, which I don't know how successful or unsuccessful or how widespread this new offensive the Russians are throwing up is going. I really haven't heard a lot of news on it. I've looked a little bit, and I haven't found much information, but the markets seem to have taken it like that it's going to hurt exports, and that sent the wheat market up, so everybody's going crazy on that. And then earlier this week, we had the stocks and demand report, and domestically, the price of corn's kind of hurting ethanol production, but the estimates for Argentinian, not quite sure how you pronounce that, but we'll go with that. Their corn and bean production was not as high as they thought it was going to be, so that's kind of given some support to everything. Markets, all this quality market information is courtesy of Cat's Grain, Washington, Iowa. So shout out to the crew at Cat's Grain. Corn, $6.79. Beans, $15.39. Wheat, $7.83. And wheat was up. Last time I looked, it was up 29 cents. Beans were up about 11. Corn was up about 8 cents. So pretty positive. Hogs, $76. And I'll tell you what, the hog market is a sad lick. I was reading a bit from Jim Eady the other day, and wiener pigs running about $80 for a wiener pig. And I feel like to make any money on them with corn where it's at, you need to be able to buy a wiener pig for somewhere around 65. I mean, I know you can make it up on volume, but I don't know if anybody could get that much volume. And another thing is there are a lot of empty barns around. And that tells me that we definitely don't have a supply problem. We must have a demand problem for the hog market to still be where it's at. I was really expecting, if you would have asked me last fall, I would have thought that hogs by now going into spring would be $100 and your summer months would be like $120, because there's just worldwide the amount of hogs that are out there, the number of sows has been decreasing everywhere, and so I don't know what's going on. Cattle, $161, gave the price of oil. Gold, $18.74, got up last week, and then all this news hasn't been good for gold, which is kind of surprising. You'd think it'd be higher than what it is. Silver, $23.75, and I don't know if that's changed today or not. I didn't look it up. Bitcoin, 22,000. It could be a hair lower. It's been floating around right around 22,000. It gets up, gets down. Ethereum got up to about 1675, but it took a hit today. Tesla, 197. Last time I looked, it's off a little bit today, but it's had a great run. Way off the low of 108. Meta, 176, and Amazon, 98. So stocks all pretty much down today. I think they came back a little bit this afternoon, but down. And for the beginning of the year, the stock market not doing very well.
Tesla's coming up, though.
Tesla's coming up, and Investor Day is March 3rd, and I think that we're going to see information on either the robotaxi or the refresh of the Model 3, which is called Project Highland, and something really interesting to watch because this hasn't been talked about a lot, but Tesla, it really is working to get to the point that they could cast an entire body of a car. So right now today they cast the back of the car and the front of the car and the battery pack. But one of the things that they feel like if they can perfect that would make the cost of producing a car way cheaper is if they could literally cast the entire car in one chunk, and then you just put everything in it and off you go. And so that may be something they're talking about. SpaceX fired 31 out of 33 Raptor engines in the Super Heavy. They had a static fire yesterday. That was something to see. I would recommend checking that out. The drone footage is awesome.
A rocket.
Most powerful rocket ever built. More powerful than the Atlas V that took the astronauts to the moon. Pretty impressive. I think the next step is to actually launch the bitch. See what happens.
Yeah. So 30. What? 3 of them didn't work. 3 of the engines.
2 of them didn't work. So 31. They shut one down. They shut one engine down 5 seconds before ignition because it had an error code, and then one of the engines shut down at ignition because it sensed something. But everything else fired, and they did the walk around this morning, and nothing really. Nothing bad. Basically, they did just what they were supposed to do, and they could light them up again. So, and they probably will do another static fire, I think, before they take it back to the high bay and see what's next. But good times.
Yeah, I'd say that was a pretty strong market update.
Very strong.
Very
I should
strong.
say it
very strong.
my shuddery old man Biden voice.
Yeah, you should. That'd be funny. I think people would like that. State of the Union. That's what we're going to start with. That's our first hot topic. And
I would
watched
love to know your thoughts on the State of the Union.
mine.
Just everybody's.
Yeah, I'd like to know everybody's thoughts too. I mean, I watched a little bit of it, but I didn't watch a ton of it. I kind of tune that stuff out. I don't really watch much mainstream media. I don't watch much of that. I've seen some highlights. I've seen people talking about it. And I think Dad and I are kind of in the same boat here. I mean, he talked about Social Security, talked about ATM fees and how he doesn't want people to have ATM fees. I mean,
how is that even relevant to the State of the Union?
I don't know.
You're trying to buy off people. You're trying to buy off votes by telling people you're going to get rid of ATM
That's
fees.
exactly what it is. I mean, the Democratic Party does not talk to the middle. It talks to the very poor, and it talks to the rich. And that's all it cares about. And the people in the middle, when he starts talking about those things, we just are like, this does not serve us in any way. This is not what us real Americans are really facing. Most Americans are really facing. Like ATM machines, we don't really give a shit. Social Security, we all kind of know that's not going to pan out.
Yeah, I think it's good. I mean, most of our audience, I got to make sure that I have my signage pointing the right way.
There you go.
I'm pretty sure most everybody that listens to us is in this thinking that there's nobody out there that knows anything about the financial condition of this country that can tell you in a straight face that Social Security is sustainable. It is not sustainable. When Social Security was brought to being, the retirement age to get Social Security was 65 years old, and the average life expectancy of a man was 67. So if you got to 65, that was like a bonus. Social Security was like a bonus. Now then, I don't know what the average life expectancy of a man is, but I know it's a hell of a lot more than 67. And we have the biggest amount of people in history all reaching retirement age, and we have one of the smallest groups of people paying money into Social Security that we've ever had. Now, I don't have to go get a whiteboard to make that story problem that just about anybody listening can go, I don't think that's probably going to work, and it won't work. And the problem is, once again, both Republicans and Democrats, and I will say a lot of the citizenry of this country that are retirement age people, anytime a Republican or a Democrat talks about any cut or any change of Social Security, they practically form a lynch mob, and AARP and all these retirement groups or retiree groups, they go crazy. Well, that's fine. We'll just run this thing until one of these days you'll just get some poor president is going to inherit this mess, and he's going to have to go on national television, and he's just going to have to say, well, nothing's been done with this, and it's broke. The country's broke. So all of you that are paying money to Social Security, you're going to continue to pay money to Social Security. In fact, your tax rate, your payroll deduction is probably going to go up. And those of you that are getting Social Security, you're not going to get any more cost of living increases. And anybody turning 65, you're not going to be able to collect Social Security from here on out. It's done. We're going to pay what everybody that's already getting it, you're going to get it. And if you haven't gotten it, you're not going to get it. And it's going to be this big uproar. And anybody that acts like they didn't see that coming, I don't know. I don't feel sorry for you because...
Do you feel like you'll get it?
Hell no, I'm not going to get it.
Well, I know for sure I'm not getting it.
I'm going to be, what am I going to be, 52 this year, 53? Yeah. And
I think you're 52 now.
I'm 52 now. I'll be 53. I'm trying to go backwards.
Can you count to 5 for me?
Well, maybe I do need the whiteboard. I mean, I'm not, that's the thing. Here I am. I'm not very bright, but I can tell you that Social Security is not going to be around. Yeah, I'm going to be 53. No, I don't think. 10 years, I don't think we'll have it in 10 years. I don't think so. So that's just one of the examples. But the thing that you and I talked about, and this isn't just about the State of the Union, people were all up in arms because supposedly it was some Republicans that yelled, when he started talking about Social Security, they yelled liar. And then he said, well, I'm not talking about all Republicans, because he said that the Republicans wanted to, hack Social Security, and they said liar. And then Joe's like, well, I don't mean all Republicans, whatever. It doesn't matter. What you and I talked about is just how out of touch politicians are and how far behind, like how they say this stuff. They almost talk like they still think that what they say is going to be written in a newspaper that's going to come out a day or two later.
And everybody's going to read it.
Yeah, and everybody's going to read it. And the other thing is, they act like they don't realize that what they say can't be validated or discredited within seconds, because we live in an information age that everything that they have said and all the laws that are written, somebody is bringing that shit up just like that.
And Twitter.
So when Joe sits there and says stuff that's not true, that is not even relevant, and he thinks that nobody's going to call him on it. Well, not that he knows, because once he says it, I don't even know if he remembers what he said or not.
Yeah, it's like that with all of them, though. I mean, either side of the aisle. I mean, most of them we don't really like. Like I said, I don't tune in much to that stuff, because it's exactly what you said. I feel like politicians, we want to put them on this pedestal like they're very, very smart people, and they're with it, and they're with the times. I think most of them aren't.
No,
I believe most of them aren't, and they don't know what. Like, take example for when Mark Zuckerberg was getting busted, and they were asking him, the courts and shit were asking about Meta. They didn't have an ounce of a clue on how that worked.
Yeah.
They had no idea how social media worked.
They drug him up on Capitol Hill, and they had these hearings, and they had him, and they had didn't they have the guy from Twitter that ran Twitter? They have
Zach Dorsey.
I think they had.
Maybe they had Dorsey. I don't know. I just remember Zuckerberg.
But the questions that they asked were like, a 15-year-old kid knew better about how social media worked than those guys did. And that's what you and I were talking about, is as the rate of technological advancement, as the rate of technology increases, politics runs at the same speed that it always has, which means nothing's done. Nothing gets done, because it's gridlock all the time. And people that worry about, just like AI as an example, if you expect the United States government to get ahead of that technology and come up with
a smart plan to regulate it but still be able to use it.
Yeah, they can't even regulate crypto.
Well,
because
I mean,
they don't even understand that.
Musk has been telling the U.S. government that AI is our biggest threat to our future for years, and they haven't done shit, because I don't think that they look at it as a threat, because they don't know what AI is or how it could affect our lives, because they don't look into it. And yeah, I think that's why I think business, I don't know why people not everybody thinks this way. I mean, everybody comes from different backgrounds and stuff, but businesses and business and tech businesses going forward, and it's been this way now for 5 years, 10 years, they have the most power. Businesses have the most power. And if they're corrupt businesses, they control politicians. And that is what that's how politics are working. People are bought and paid for by big corporations if they're corrupt companies. But I think also there's some really good businesses out there. I would rather put my money into somebody or a business to make the world better than the government.
Oh, 100%.
Where we are now, in 2023, I do not trust I trust Elon Musk, and I trust guys like Mark Cuban to make a better world than the government that we have in the America today.
Government is only good at two things. They're good at killing people, and they're good at breaking things. Because the United States Armed Forces are the best in the world, best there is, at keeping the United States safe. And they do that through killing people and breaking things. And we're very good at it. But as far as managing the money that we have, regulating commerce, protecting our rights, as technology speeds up, the government gets worse at all of that because they can't get out of their own way. And they are corrupt to the point that they are, and I'm painting with a pretty wide brush. Not every politician
I am too.
is this way.
Yep.
There are some really good people in politics that are trying to make a change. However, there are just as many that are trying to run interference against anything that is going to affect whoever's greasing them. And let's not kid ourselves. There's politicians on both sides of the aisle that are getting greased very hard by China. Don't you think that there isn't money flowing? And the Saudis.
Well, it's because with China, if you listen to Peter Zion, the only way China makes it out of the next 2 decades, if to survive as a country, is if the United States bails them out.
That's 100% right.
Because their infrastructure's fucked.
Well, their
United States and demographics are fucked.
Yeah.
The United States has to bail China out for China to survive the next 2 decades. That's according to Peter Zion. If you haven't listened to him, go check him out. I don't know how you can even argue with the guy because all he uses is history, demographics, infrastructure.
It's just numbers.
It's just numbers. I mean, you really cannot argue with the guy. But yeah, that's what he said is their only option out, is if America buys them out. So China buying farmland, you hear that all the time, like that's kind of a rumor. Why would they be buying farmland? Because they need food. And they feel like they can buy farmland in here in the United States and that can help them out. But also, why are they greasing politicians so much? Because they need the United States. The United States. Yeah. They need United States. That's what they need. And corrupt people, get enough of them under your wing, and maybe they can make some stuff happen for you and save you.
Yeah. So I guess the long drawn out bit about the State of the Union was there was really nothing in that impressed me, and so much of it is just rhetoric.
Well, what does impress you anymore with him? I mean, has he impressed you once? 'Cause he hasn't impressed me one time.
He impressed me that he's still walking, because I figured that
I don't feel like that was the worst that I've seen of Biden. Like that wasn't like
I thought he was.
It was fine. It was not bad. It wasn't good, but it was fine. It was okay. But it's just, I think so many people are just fed up with this administration and just politics in general. Like, I don't trust the government, and I don't trust big media, and I just don't. The amount of conspiracy theory, it's so funny. I was thinking about this the other day. Everybody almost has their own conspiracy theory, whether it be food, whether it be pharma, whether it be government, whether it be past history events, whether it be I have seen just so many videos of people talking about big food, big pharma, government, past events that happened,
aliens.
I think this is kind of what they are afraid of, is everybody's just talking about everything, and everybody has an opinion on everything, and Americans kind of are waking up. I think people are just generally waking up and realizing more and more I see this, that, yeah, government might not have our best interests in mind, and what they've been telling us for decades
may not all be true.
And it's the same with big food. It's the same with big pharma. It's the same with all these big industries, military industrial complex. People are talking, and people are sick and tired of being lied to, and they're questioning everything. So when you have a State of the Union and he addresses what he addresses, and it really isn't addressing any of the problems that we face right now as Americans, it's just like typical Joe, typical administration, typical politics. Why even turn it on?
Hey, I remembered one example that I'm keenly aware of, and I just thought this was interesting. One of the statements that he made in the State of the Union is he was talking about EVs, and now then, the Biden administration's got a hard on for EVs, and But the way they do things.
Can you hold that thought?
Yep.
Last thing I want to say is if Kamala Harris stands up every time fucking Joe Biden finishes a sentence, she stood up every 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Every time that he got a sentence out coherently, she got up and was like, oh, Joe, you did it, Joe. You did it. Just sit down. Good God. It's just taken away from the whole fucking address, the State of the Union.
She was really standing up to see whether her husband had his hand on Joe's wife's knee.
Yeah, okay, that was messed up too. What the hell was that? What the hell?
I guess they like each other.
What the hell? Jill and what's the other guy? What's Kamala's husband's name?
I don't know what his
Jill
name
Biden and Kamala's husband
Full on
puckered up and kissed each other in front of everybody.
I was just thinking about that, and people pass that off like they're good friends, they're good friends. And I was just thinking, I'm like, that's not good friends because... So I'm going to a Super Bowl party this weekend at some friends of ours' house, and we're good friends, people we've been friends with for 20 years, more than 20 years. And it's like, I'm not going to walk in there and kiss my best friend's wife on the mouth and say, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
Thanks for having us. That's not...
They almost
you can't
made
explain that away.
They almost made it like that's like American culture. Like that's what we do here. You know how when you go to, is it France,
Yeah,
you
they kiss
them on the
each
cheek.
side.
Yeah, like that. Everybody knows that, but like they made it seem like it was so like, oh, this is just what we do here in America, and they just kiss.
Well,
and it was
I don't
so
know.
Weird.
Maybe that is how you do things in Washington D.C. I don't know, but all I know is any good group of people that I've ever been around that don't have pineapples on their doors or whatever, you don't kiss your friend's wife on the mouth as to say, hello, thanks for having us over.
Well, I don't want to say this, but I bet Biden Joe in the bedroom's about a dead fish.
Well,
Jill's probably not being satisfied.
That ship sailed a long time ago.
Yeah,
but anyway,
so she's got to find some room in the White House to go to. She's got to go somewhere.
Man,
she's got to.
You think maybe the vice president and her husband are sleeping over?
Well, that is odd as shit. That is so weird. That's not. You don't kiss your friends. You don't kiss your husband's vice president's.
You don't
husband.
kiss the vice president's husband. On the mouth.
Yeah. No. I'm sure they've made a trip to the Oval Office a couple times or two.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Snuck in, stole the keys.
Oh, my.
That took a turn for the worse, but that was kind of funny. But it was messed up. I won't lie. That's messed up. All right, go ahead and keep going on the EV train.
Hey, real quick, we got to take a little break because I got to tell you something real important. If you guys aren't watching our This Will Do Farm YouTube channel, you're missing out. It's just like this, only shorter and on the farm. Definitely go check it out if you haven't subscribed yet. Give us a like, give us a comment. Let us know you came from Barn Talk. And with that being said, let's get back into the podcast.
Okay, well, all I was going to say is I'm just going to give an example of how government is just like, it can't get out of its own way. So one of the things that Joe said during that speech is that part of his plan is that they want to give, I can't remember how many $100 million or $1 billion they want to give towards building a charging infrastructure within the United States, EV chargers. Why do you need to do that? Because Tesla is already doing it. They have the largest EV charging system in the world, and it's the best. I challenge anybody, go watch videos of people that take their cars and they try to charge them at a Go America or a, I don't know, EV Go or I don't know, all these different private ones. They suck. They're terrible. The best EV charging network in the world is Tesla's. And no matter how much money the government dumps into these companies, they're going to, in the long run, they're going to end up losing because the market will decide. And Tesla is going to open their chargers up to other people's EVs. The only reason they haven't done it yet is because the volume of people, they don't want people that have Teslas to have a bad experience of coming to a Tesla charging spot and all the spots are full of people charging their Mustang Mach-E, which, I mean, that's not going to happen. There aren't that many, but you get what I mean. They want their customers to have priority to charge at their system. But they're literally building that system out as fast as they can because the demand is that great. And then you got your president, who I guarantee you has no clue how that works or what it is. Somebody told him, hey, we should throw more money at this EV charging deal because we're going to have all these EVs, so we need to, we should do that.
Invest
and
in
he's
infrastructure.
like, that's good infrastructure. No, it's not. That money is going to get pissed away, and that's just one example of how these politicians, they're completely out of touch. They don't understand where the market's at. They don't understand where the technology is going.
They don't understand where the electric grid's at.
Yeah.
We've talked about that 100 times. You don't have to force the EV shit down everybody's throat.
No,
just
because
let it happen.
There you go.
Let it happen because we don't even know what our power grid, we don't know what it can handle. And if you're just going to push and push and push and push, something drastic can happen.
Well, it's just not going to work.
It's not going to work.
It's just not going to work.
And you're just going to build this infrastructure, and it might be having these chargers just sitting and they don't got any power to them.
So since this episode seems to be a cycle of stories related to our government's not so great abilities to do things, we could go two ways. Are we done with that?
Well, I just wanted to say I was thinking about what I've said previously, and I talked about how business is I trust businesses and corporations more than I trust the government, but I also kind of contradicted myself because I said, big business kind of corrupts politicians. So obviously there's good businesses out there and there's corrupt businesses out there. I'm not saying, I think there's some shitty businesses out there and there's some shitty people behind those businesses that do some corrupt shit. Don't get me wrong. But I think there's more good people running great businesses out there than there are evil people running shitty businesses out there that are greasing politicians and doing bad things and are corporate assholes and don't want the best for people. But I think there's more people like Mark Cuban trying to bring pharmaceutical drugs down to its cheapest form to sell to Americans. That's a great thing. Elon doing space travel, not going through NASA, not going really. I mean, he's got to go through the government.
Without government.
Trying to do it without as much government. Trying to do it without government best he can. Trying to do Tesla so we have less emissions. If you fuck with that or not. Yeah. There's a lot of guys out there that are doing a lot of great things that they inspire the change. Capitalism inspires the change if the right people run businesses. I think.
And wouldn't you say, when you talk about...
I'd rather have those people get my money to put into the system to create change in America than I would the government.
Right.
Like another company that I'm in love with as of recently, Origin. 100% American made.
American source, too.
Everything in their supply chain is American.
From the cotton plant to the jeans
to your door. It's all American made. It's all American sourced. And what they're doing is fucking awesome. And I applaud them so much. Those are the kind of people I want to put my money into.
Right.
They are the ones that will make the change in America for the American people.
Right.
Government hasn't been really doing a good job at that.
And wouldn't you say that a lot of large corporations that you would have a problem with, part of the reason that you have a problem with them is because at some point they got very involved with the United States government.
Yeah.
So when you talk about big pharma, you talk about the military-industrial complex,
big food.
a lot of those big companies that you don't trust, the reason you don't trust them is because they got tied up with the United States government. And usually when that happens, bad things happen for whatever reason. I mean,
shady
it's just how it
shit.
is.
Shady shit happens.
I mean, that's exactly what's going on. So
that's all I wanted to say on that. I support great businesses. That's where I'd put my money rather than giving it to the government.
So I think we'll go this way. So since we're talking about big food, do you think that there's any chance whatsoever that big food had a part to play with the newest version of the food pyramid?
I feel like that was very. I feel like the U.S. government was involved in that new food pyramid.
If I was General Mills, I'd feel great because now
Yep.
Lucky Charms is at the top. You should have a bowl of Lucky Charms every fucking day.
And not a steak.
No,
Don't eat red
God,
meat,
no.
man. That is the thing. The eggs fried in butter is gonna kill you. The dairy, the milk's gonna kill you. The steak's gonna kill you. But the Lucky Charms, fuck yeah, baby.
Red 7.
Eat them. Red 40. Red 40. That's
There's
what it's called.
nothing wrong with that.
Red 40, baby. Just
You could
ingest
eat
that stuff.
shit right from the can.
Oh yeah, we're a little late on this hot topic, but we had to throw it in here, guys. This is just. I know most of you probably have heard of this or seen it, but holy shit. If you haven't seen it, you have got to go check it out. Just type in Lucky Charms food pyramid and it will pop up and you'll look at it in disbelief. I mean, you can blatantly see the narrative that is being done on food. What they're trying to push on us. You can easily see it.
And it's pretty much anti-American farmer is what it is.
Yeah, it is. 100%
Beef.
it is.
I mean, meat,
Meat,
it's
dairy.
anti-meat, it's anti-dairy, and it's also anti-whole foods is what
Yeah.
it is. So what really blew me away, it wasn't even the grains in the cereal that I was just like bamboozled by. It was the seed oils and like margarine, because I don't know. I feel like there isn't hardly anybody around that takes any responsibility for their health that doesn't know that seed oils and hydrogenated oils are fucking terrible for you.
Mm-hmm.
And yet here they are telling you that you shouldn't have butter. Well,
Yeah.
I can tell you that butter is a hell of a lot better for you than hydrogenated oils.
So listen to this. So ground beef, cheddar cheese, and whole egg fried in butter are to be minimized. They're the worst on the pyramid, on the scale.
Yep.
They got a score of 26 for ground beef, 28 for cheddar cheese.
Out of 100, right?
Out of 100. Yep. 26 ground beef, 28 cheddar cheese, 29 whole egg fried in butter.
Yep.
Above whole egg fried in butter is ice cream cone with nuts, 34. Still not great, but it's telling you to eat ice cream with nuts over eating ground beef, cheddar cheese, whole eggs fried in butter. Let's see. Lucky Charms scored a 60. Eggs substitute fried in vegetable oil, 62.
There you go.
Not fried in
Hydrogenated oil.
butter. Not fried in butter. Fry that shit in some seed oils, baby. Come on. Let's see here. What made it to the top? Orange juice with calcium scored a 78.
Pure sugar.
Pure sugar and Simply Orange I saw is getting sued because they had some shit in their orange juice that is causing a
Let's
bunch of
just
problems.
pause for a minute.
So, I mean, you can go on and on and on. Frosted Mini Wheats scored an 87. 87 on the list. So you got ground beef at 26 and Frosted Mini Wheats at a 87.
So anybody out there, if you believe today that orange juice is a fruit, I hate to break it to you, that is not a fruit. That is, just imagine a bag of C&H sugar with enough juice squeezed out of an orange to make it, well, orange.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It is sugar.
Just
It is
look
sugar.
at the back of an orange juice jug when you buy one.
It is pure sugar.
I mean, I love orange juice.
Oh,
I
I
don't
do
drink
too.
it daily, but when I was a kid, I used to drink it a lot. But as I've gotten older,
I love it,
oh, I love it too.
but it's terrible for
It is
you.
terrible. It's kind of a treat for me when we eat like brunch occasionally and then have an orange juice. But
So
if you're gonna have orange juice, squeeze the orange.
there
yourself.
is an incredible disconnect in this country between, I don't even know what you want to say it's between, but this idea that we don't talk about sugar. Sugar is one of the worst things that you could put in your body, and I can tell you that from experience because I know. Sawyer can tell you better than me, but we have an epidemic of sugar. It's in everything, and it is horrible for your body.
Diabetes is way up in America. I don't know the stats, but everybody knows fucking diabetes is just running everywhere here
And
in
sugar
America.
is also a drug.
Yeah.
the more you have it, the more you want it.
And you're addicted.
And the other thing is, seed oils, hydrogenated oils, are fucking terrible for you. They're not good. And olive oil, butter, avocado oil, much better choices for your body than seed oils. And I am 100% not the picture of health. And I make no claims that I am a health expert. All I'll tell you is that for me personally, I try to limit how much sugar I drink. I don't drink pop anymore. That's one of the biggest accomplishments that I've had. Occasionally I'll mix some with whiskey, but whiskey, it purifies your system. So,
It's like water. Yeah.
Yeah, it balances out.
Water for you. Yeah.
Anyway, but I know that when I do that, I'm like, I probably shouldn't be doing this. Maybe I should just drink the whiskey straight, and it probably would be better. But, if somebody like me realizes that, when I see that food pyramid, I just laugh, because you talk about misinformation. That is misinformation. And the assault on meat in this country is ridiculous. And more and more and more information is coming out as to
meat's not the problem.
Meat is not the problem. It is over-processed food. It is seed oils. It is sugar. Sugar being one of the absolute
preservatives too.
Yeah, top of the deals.
Yeah.
But obviously Red 40's fine.
Yeah.
So you can have as much of that as you want.
I was just gonna say on the sugar thing. Yeah, I don't know. I've talked about it a little bit on the show, but when I was like 20, I got reactive arthritis, and it's not rheumatoid arthritis, but it kind of is. So you get it for a short period of time because your immune system overreacted to something that you got. So I got salmonella, and then my body overreacted, and that overreaction, that inflammation went to my joints, and I just got all of a sudden really inflamed everywhere. And so I had to get that I had to check that out, get some medication for it. I'm good now. But every time I eat sugar, a lot of sugar, drink alcohol, eat something really fried, I can wake up the next morning and instantly feel my body more inflamed. My joints are more inflamed. I have more joint pain when I wake up in the morning. If I eat, and I'm not saying never splurge, because I splurge, but
if you eat clean,
if I eat pretty clean, whole foods, fruit, vegetables, meat, I eat dairy, I stay away from the process, I stay away from the shit that's got a ton of preservatives in it, stay away from the sugar, stay away from alcohol best I can. I like to have a little fun sometimes, but I feel great. But I can instantly tell when I put something in my body, the next day I'll know if it was good or not, depending on how I feel in the morning. And I mean, that's just inflammation, but I've really started to cut back that kind of stuff just due to my body, how it feels the next day. And I don't really want to be in pain, I would say also this pyramid, if you want to even call it that, I loved it because I think it did more harm to what their narrative was than good for them. I think it pushed more people away from what they were trying to achieve than it convinced people that was right.
Yeah, I think it's a good example of how, when you said that people are waking up, I think the reaction...
That's another fucking example. When that shit kind of comes out, people are already kind of, they're kind of questioning things. And when you throw that something so blatant out like that's just like so bunch of bullshit, people, you just lose more trust. You're just losing more trust.
And I feel like social media went crazy on that.
Oh, yeah.
Because people just thought, so many people just made meme after meme after meme and made fun of it because you can't trust them. They obviously have an agenda, they're pushing the agenda, and everybody knows they're pushing an agenda. And it's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. And I saw the other day, Beyond Meat is just coming, it's coming right down. It's going down into the shitter. This idea of plant-based meats or lab-grown meat, nobody's buying it.
No, because
nobody's buying it.
It is the furthest thing from a whole food that you can get. Mm-hmm. The laundry list of ingredients that's into a lab-grown meat it's ridiculous. And you're really putting your life in the hands of a company they're basically experimenting on you, is what they're doing, because this has never been done before. And I don't feel like near the testing has been done on it that should. And there's nothing in there that's real.
They're convinced. It's obvious that their narrative is they're anti-ag, anti-animal ag, anti-dairy, anti all that shit. And I think that they realize that if we can get this small minority of people that are mostly all vegan to become a bigger stake in what consumers eat, we can make a shitload of money.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So let's push that.
Yep.
Let's push that. And that goes right in because they also blame agriculture for climate change. So that plays all right into that as well. So, but I think this did more harm for them than it did good. And I'm glad. And I'm glad that people are waking up to this shit, and more people I think most people looked at that and were like, that is bullshit. And that's good. That gives me some hope.
Yep.
That feels good that most people probably thought that. So, all right. So now we're on to 99 red Chicom balloons. Chicom balloons.
I did a little 80s throwback to 99 red Loof balloons.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was reading that and I was like, I thought there was only one of them. But you were that we know of. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So,
as we're shooting, so you'll be able to timestamp this to know when this was shot, but literally when we sat down to record this, Wall Street Journal put out a news alert that a unidentified object was shot down over
Alaska, wasn't it?
Alaska. It was in territorial waters, so it was at sea, but it was along the coast of Alaska.
Size of a car.
Shot down at 40,000 feet, and they're not saying what it was. Don't know if it was a balloon, but kind of weird. So when was that? Last week that it was shot down?
Yep. I saw a TikTok video of it. A guy was recording it and saw the missile just smoke it.
Yep.
And that was pretty. I like that because that's some American. That's awesome.
Yep.
That gave me flashbacks to when I watched what's it called?
Independence Day?
Well, no. The movie that just came out last year, they remade it.
Oh, Top Gun?
Top Gun. Yeah, Top Gun. Yeah, it gave me flashbacks to that movie.
So my question about it is, well, there's a lot of weirdness about this. So first of all, nobody knew anything about it until a TV station in Montana shot video of it and put it either on their website or on the news. And then it got national attention. And then the government came out and said, yes, we're aware of it. We're watching it.
Why are you watching it?
Why? We shot it down on the East Coast. Why didn't we shoot it down on the West Coast? I mean, that's what I want to know. And I'm just so, somebody needs to explain to me.
Why are we giving other countries the right to fly fucking shit over our country?
Last time I checked.
And how often does it happen without us even knowing it? Because they're saying they were aware of it, but now we're finally seeing. We saw one.
When all the blowback happened, they said, oh, well, this happened during the Trump administration. And then Trump came out and said it didn't happen. And then somebody said, well, there was one that went across the southern Florida. And then somebody else came out and said, well, it was actually not in U.S. waters. It came across international airspace off the coast of Florida. I have no idea what's right. It could have come across Florida during Trump. Maybe Trump didn't say anything. Trump's not president, so it doesn't really matter at this point. All we know is one came across from the northwest. Nobody said anything until it got through Montana, and then we didn't do anything about it until it was in the ocean off the East Coast. So is somebody sleeping at NORAD? Is that right? Do we not protect our airspace anymore? I guess that's my question. I don't understand. And maybe I'm ignorant of it. Maybe this is not unusual. Maybe hell, maybe all kinds of countries fly weather balloons over the United States, and we just say it's okay. But there's a lot of weird things about it. And the other thing that I thought was really weird was when they shot it down, I guess it was a lot bigger than what people thought, because some news release said that the debris field was the size of 2 football fields.
Holy shit. I didn't know that.
Well, I didn't either. And so I don't know how big that was, but it really begs another question. In the age of technology being what it is, so the United States doesn't fly balloons over other countries to do reconnaissance. Mm-mm. Is that right? I mean, I don't think we do.
I don't know. I mean, they could. Military could. We wouldn't have any idea.
We?
I don't know.
We have satellites that can zoom in. I mean, when we were at war in Afghanistan, I mean, we could tell what a terrorist was eating if he was having his Lucky Charms for breakfast. Yeah. I mean, we could see the cereal box. So I don't feel like there's been a need to have a balloon.
I just feel like it all seems so fishy to me. It seems like there's some corruption going on, because they don't do shit about it until somebody has seen it, till a citizen saw it.
Yeah.
And then they waited and waited and waited until it got all the way to the East Coast, and probably all the, I don't know, was it recording? Was it just like, what was it doing? Getting prepared to get a lot of them so we have another Red Dawn? I mean,
well, they claimed it was a research balloon, is what they claim. But I mean, you can't believe anything the Chi-Coms say. So I mean, that's not right. And I mean, maybe it is, but so I don't have it. I was literally going to make myself a tinfoil hat to put on when I say this statement.
And I know Red Dawn didn't happen. I misspoke. Are we going to have
Best
Red
movie
Dawn
in
in
the 80s,
real life? That's what I meant.
I mean, well, I don't know.
Clarify.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off is right.
Red Dawn was pretty badass.
But it was pretty good.
Yeah.
It was pretty good, Wolverines. But I saw this, and I'm going to say it because you got to think about it. There was a couple of places that it got reported that balloon was at, and I don't know how it regulates altitude. I guess it comes down to probably whatever the mixture of helium and oxygen is within the balloon. As atmospheric pressure goes up, the higher you get. I imagine that you can fill that balloon with a mixture that once it's launched, it's going to go to a certain altitude and then it's going to stay there. Leave your comment and tell me how that works, because I don't know how that works. But I'm assuming that it had a preset altitude that it pretty much stayed at within a range. And the stories that I saw about that said that was the ideal altitude, that if you were going to discharge a nuclear warhead to create an EMP, that is the altitude that you should do it at. So now I'll take
my God. No, I think that's probably the most logical thing you can think of out of that deal. Because why in the hell would they do that? Why in the hell would they do that? Why would we allow them to do that? And then you got I don't care what y'all say, you got the World Economic Forum come out and say that we're going to have a major power outage in the next 5 years, just like they were talking about we were going to have a major pandemic 3 years ago. They were talking about it at the World Economic Forum So they were literally talking about there was going to be a pandemic, then it happened, and then now they're telling us that there's going to be a global fucking power outage because of something. There's going to be something that happens that we're all going to lose fucking power. We're going to lose our data. We're going to lose our social media, and people are just going to go nuts. So prepare yourselves. Why are they saying that? Why are you saying that? Why are you saying that? And then this fucking happens. What are you doing? Why are we allowing China to fly a balloon over our country? What are you doing? See, this goes back to why the fuck should I trust you? Why should I trust the government? They can't make a smart decision on let's not allow China to float a fucking balloon over our country. Like, do we protect our airspace anymore?
Well, that's what I think that's the
It
question.
just seems so fishy. It seems so weird. Something weird's going on. Something weird behind the scenes is going on. Besides, I don't think that they just were like, yep,
Well,
that's
they knew
a
it was
Chinese
there.
balloon.
There's no doubt that the Air Force didn't know it was there. I think you really have to question the decision that nobody was told about it, and you really have to question the decision that nothing was done about it until it exited the continental U.S. To me,
Yeah, that's also weird. Why?
to me, a call should have been made to the Chinese and said, well, here's the deal. Because their answer was that this was a weather balloon. It was part of a research project, and it drifted off course. Well, that's fine. At that point, what you do is you call the Chinese, whoever you call, and you say, okay, well, that's fine, but it's not coming into our airspace. We're going to destroy it. And you let the chips fall because we ultimately destroyed it. The Chinese, they got all pissed about it and said it was our fault, which, whatever, but you should have done that on the front side. And the fact that they didn't do it is really, really weird. And the fact that they didn't announce it and say, well, here's the deal. This is floating across there. I mean, they could have just as well said, if you're going to lie to everybody, you could have just as well said, well, it's a weather balloon that's part of a project from UCLA to study da-da-da, and nobody would have said shit about it.
True.
Some professor at UCLA that,
They could have said it was American, but they
Yeah.
didn't. Yeah, and the other thing is, I said that who knows how many they could have. This might not have been the first time. This is the
Right.
first time we're hearing about it and seeing one, but it might not be the first time. And to counter that, you could also say maybe they've shot down more. Maybe more have came, they shot them down, but just haven't told anybody.
Right.
And I hope that's the case. I hope that if they've tried this before, we shot them down and the public hasn't known about it because nobody saw it. But it's just weird. It's weird. It's a weird deal.
Weirdness going on.
I don't think we should let other countries fly shit over our airspace. I think most Americans could probably agree to that fact. Why should we let them do that? I don't think we should.
Yeah.
If they want to do a weather balloon, we're the best. I mean, the United States, we can do that. Why don't we do that ourselves? We'll have our own weather balloon up there.
I'm pretty sure the Chinese aren't spending a whole lot of money on research and weather.
Yeah, no
They've
shit.
got bigger.
They got the
they've got
factories.
bigger problems than
They
that.
got the factories going. We had Huey on here. Huey Be Cool on here, and he was telling us that if you haven't listened to that episode, he went into China to visit because he was doing some research on insect farming, and there was one day in there that you have to shut down all the factories inside of China, one city, because the smog is so terrible from all the industry that's being done there that everybody has to go inside and stay for a day until it all clears. And then the next day they just fire it all back up.
Yep.
So if they really gave a shit about the environment and weather, I mean, why you might want to regulate a little bit of that before you go and try to solve climate change by flying a weather balloon up
I don't
there.
think they're too concerned.
I don't think so either. So I think it's bullshit that that's a weather balloon. I don't think it actually was. Oh boy. I don't care. I think most people are questioning it too. I don't think that's too big of a conspiracy theory. It's all weird. Why are they doing it? What's the purpose? We shouldn't allow that. We should not allow that, period.
Yeah, I think that the pattern that
Call me a fucking lunatic. I don't care. It's weird. It's dumb.
I think the gist of these three hot topics that we had today is this: that one, most people don't trust government. But then on the other hand, government today is not doing anything to help that feeling of trust.
They're not. Yeah,
That's the
I
thing.
agree.
It's like every day there is some new story about something that makes you go, boy, do these guys really have our best interest in mind? And the answer is no, they really don't. And so
I think that the pandemic really and what's happening now with vaccines and all that, what's coming out, what's actually coming out,
they overplayed their
Twitter, government being involved in Twitter and censoring people, Chinese, it just keeps happening.
Yeah.
Events the truth is coming out and people are just fed up and they're just losing trust by the day. By the day. Why in the fuck should we trust you after that kind of stuff comes out?
Yeah.
Why? They lost me at COVID. When they started doing that, that was like, and I'm a young guy. What was I, 20 at the time? I mean, I didn't follow politics all too much in high school, but you know, you can start getting to become a young adult. You start following it more, and then that happened, and you know, you're kind of skeptical in the beginning, and then it's played out, and now it's coming out that it wasn't as great as what they were telling us. I mean, I've liked tweets on my Twitter of straight up analysts on news networks saying if you have the vaccine, you don't carry the virus. What a load of shit that was.
Yes.
What an absolute load of shit that was. That was the narrative for so long, that if you had the vaccine, you were safe, and if you weren't vaccinated, you're the problem. So now it's all coming out that that's bullshit.
So yesterday, I want to say it was yesterday. I don't think they're up there today. So yesterday, the House had, I can't remember how many. I want to say 4 or 5 former Twitter employees. They drug them up on Capitol Hill.
That was amazing. I loved it. Loved every moment.
And they're asking them all these questions. And one of the questions that was asked to a woman who she was one of the content heads, and she actually was in charge of censoring people. And the question was asked to her what qualifications she had to make a decision as to whether or not something someone said on Twitter about COVID was or was not a valid point. Which, of course, she had no answer for because she doesn't know a fucking thing about, she has no anything. She's just a paid talking head working for Twitter who was incredibly woke and was doing whatever was being told to her to do. And then the other thing that was really interesting is the government paid Twitter. Yeah. What was that number?
No, I just was going to say
5. Oh, gosh. A big shitload of money. They paid Twitter a shitload of money. And I don't even know what it was given under the guise of, but basically it was paid to them to censor people, is what it was.
Yeah, I saw the same video. I think another question was, she's like, did the government get involved with censoring people on Twitter? Did they ever get involved with you guys in censoring people on Twitter? Yes or no? And it was yeah, she had to say yes. Yeah. Totally was. CIA and FBI were involved in censoring people on Twitter.
Yeah, we said this earlier. So there's all kinds of stuff that came out in those Twitter files, and I don't know if they're done. I don't know if the dumps of information are done yet, but I thought one of the most interesting things was that at one point there were so many people working at Twitter that were former FBI and CIA that they had their own group on Slack within the company that was like a club for former government employees, former FBI, CIA employees, that they had their own chat group within the company because there was that many of them working there. Mm-hmm. Now that's kind of disturbing.
It is. And
another thing that was very disturbing that came out in that was that Saudi Arabia, was it the Saudis or was it the Indians? I think it was Saudis. So Saudi Arabia paid Twitter, I don't know how much money, but they had what is the equivalent of their CIA, their highest intelligence group. They had an officer of the Saudi
agency,
whatever that agency was, embedded in Twitter, and he could view anything that came in or any tweets and find out who posted it, and he had the last say if it involved the Saudi royal family, whether that got posted or not. I'm like, well, how do you get?
It's almost like they were like selling to the highest bidder.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll just censor everybody for their best interest.
And we said this before, but if you are naive enough to believe that only happened at Twitter and that's not happening anywhere else, I would like to sell you something. I don't know what right now, but I'll think of something because it is all out there and it's happening at every other one of these social media sites.
Yep.
Maybe not to that degree, maybe more so.
Yeah, and the other thing about that Twitter when they were putting her on Capitol Hill is she asked her, what gives you the qualifications to not only censor people, but censor doctors that were talking about COVID and helping giving information to Americans.
Right.
What gives you the right to do that? And she didn't have an answer.
No.
And she has no qualifications of medical anything. So those few events in the last, few years have really just kind of, I think, put a shitty taste in people's mouths. I just think people are just fed up. I'm fed up with just the corruption and the lies, and come out with a stupid food freaking scale and tell us that Lucky Charms are better than steak. I mean, it's endless. It's endless. The amount of just bullshit. So
we need an up note. We need to finish strong. We need to give you a little glimmer of hope. We need a golden nugget.
Hey, this is a pretty good podcast, isn't it? If you made it this far, you must think it's pretty good. I got a favor to ask you. Please, if you like the show, leave us a review on Spotify or Apple. Now, let's get back to it.
we need a
ready
sound
for a golden
effect.
nugget?
We need a sound effect for that.
Well, we do, but I don't want to reach that
we need
far
to
get
we
it.
need to get pickaxe.
I need a gong.
Yeah, you
You
should
just get a gong.
You put a gong, just smash
Right here.
it. Yeah, that would be awesome.
We'll start a GoFundMe for Torque's gong. Link coming soon. So, amongst all this, I got to get to my page because I thought this was really good and I don't want to screw it up. So, somebody that I really respect that's been in the investment world for a really long time is Ron Barron. So Ron Barron is, if you've heard of Barron's, the money magazine, that's his namesake. He doesn't own it. I'm not sure. I think his company actually started it and then they sold it. But he started out as an investor and he had an investment company, but he's taken it private. And he only has, I'm not sure if he has any clients or he just invests his own money today, but he is one of the biggest investors in Tesla. He is an investor in SpaceX. He is an investor in Twitter. He is an investor in a lot of other companies that those are just the ones that off the top of my head I can think of. But he was on CNBC the other morning, and they have him on there fairly regularly, and he is definitely what you would call a long-term investor. But I thought that his viewpoint of kind of the world and how it relates to business was really powerful and was a golden nugget. So he's 79 years old. He's in damn good shape for 79 years old. But he started Barron Capital in 1982. And the question was asked to him about his investment viewpoint because of inflation, the war in Ukraine, just a lot of bad stuff happening around the world. And he gave one of the best answers I've ever heard. He said that since 1982, when he started investing and started Barron Capital, he just looked at the two hosts at CNBC and he goes, well, he said, since 1982, there's only been 1 year that the news has been good. Only one. And that was 1989. And he said that was the year that the Berlin Wall came down. And he said most of all the news that was out for 10 months of that year was about how the world, there was going to be a peace dividend, we were all going to get along, there were going to be no more wars, that this was a whole, the Soviet Union had fallen and the Cold War was over and everything was positive. He said that lasted about 10 months. And then it went back to wars, pestilence, disease,
Terrorists.
famine, terrorists. He said the whole world, there's bad news all the time. And he said that when he started, he went to school. He went to like junior high, I guess you'd say middle school, junior high, in a very small school. I think he said there was 2 classes, 20 in a class. And when he went to high school, he went to a class, and there was 2,000 kids in that class. 2,000 kids in that school and 500 in a class. And the teacher that did his orientation said to him, when you come here, you just need to know this. Don't believe anything you hear on the playground and only believe half of what you see. And he's applied that to his investment career. And his advice to anybody that wants to be a stock investor, and he was very specific about this. He said, I'm not talking to you if you are a stock trader. I'm talking to you if you are a stock investor, because there is a difference. He said, I only buy companies that I don't plan on ever selling. And he said, the return that I expect to get, I expect to double my money every 4 to 5 years. And he said, the companies that I buy, I very well may not live long enough to see them get the return that I fully expect them to get, but my kids will. So his son is kind of taking over his business. And he said, I believe Michael will see the fruit of a lot of our labors in the companies that we have invested. But he said that if you are going to do that, if you're going to be an investor, that you need to know the company better than any of the stock analysts that are following it. Dig deep, read the prospectus, read the annual report, build your thesis and buy it with the intentions of never selling it, and know that the news is always going to be bad. But good people make good decisions and build great companies. And I thought,
That was great.
damn, that is good.
Yeah,
So
that
that is your
really
gold
good.
nugget of the day.
Yeah.
And I think we can all take away that you could apply that. You could apply that to your own family, because good people make good decisions and make great families, raise great kids,
Make great Americans.
even though the news is always bad. Because we don't hear the good stuff, we hear the bad stuff.
Yep.
We're as guilty of it because we spent a whole episode talking about a bunch of bad stuff. But you know what? I'm still positive, and I'm still positive for the future.
Yeah, I agree. I'm happy to be I'm happy to be American. I'm in the best country that that's ever been. I'm in the greatest country. I'm in one of the greatest times to ever be alive with so much opportunity. And I would just say, yeah, keep doing your own research and just don't take the headlines at face value. Dig deep, not just in your stock investments, but dig deep. Don't let these headlines fool you. Don't let big media fool you. Don't let what they say at the surface level fool you. Dig deep, actually figure out the facts, and do some due diligence. Do your due diligence. Do your own research. Make a decision for yourself, because.
Yep. Yeah, so I'll give you a shameless plug. I don't know if you can see it or not. I am wearing this T-shirt. It is What Would Raul Do? And that is from a company called Real Vision, which they don't sponsor us. I sure wish they would, but they don't. I found them about 3 years ago, and I've been a subscriber to it. And it is some of the best information. It's a college course. The quality of the information that they talk about and the people they have on there, and it's none of it. They do lives, they stream stuff, but gosh, you can learn so much. I've learned so much from about investing, and anything you want to learn about. They have people on there that are they're business people, they're investors, they're the people that are actually doing it. These aren't professors that are talking theory. These are people that are actually doing it. And I don't care whether you subscribe to Real Vision or not, but find people like that. Because there's people out there, we talk about all the time. There's people on social media that are the doers, not the people that are talking about theory, not the people that are telling you what you should do.
Not the people that have a business selling you courses on the business that you should start.
Didn't Alex Ramosi say that? What was that you told me the other day? That if you follow somebody that they're making more than how much of their money from
selling a course to you,
you shouldn't follow them.
No, yeah.
And that's so true, because there are all these people out here that are supposedly so smart, but they're making all their money selling you a course. Well,
the real ones really don't sell a course.
That's exactly
it's the truth.
right.
The real ones really don't sell a course.
Right. Find
'Cause-
those people that are doing what you want to do, what you're interested in, and that are successful at it. Just listen to them.
Yeah.
Just listen to them.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
Yep. I think that's gonna wrap it up, guys. If you got any value from the show, if you're related to us on anything, if you laughed a little bit, if you thought the show was good, feel free to share it out. Pay the fee, guys. We really appreciate every one of you that have been doing that. Leave a review on Spotify or Apple. Go get some Barn Talk merch if you want it. Maybe get your husband or your wife or your kid a Barn Talk sweatshirt. You never know.
submit your questions, comments. Tell us what you think.
Yep.
At barntalkshow@gmail.com.
Yep. You can also let us know what you think about the episode on Spotify. You can also leave a review or a comment on YouTube. We love hearing from you guys. So just feel free to reach out to us, DM us on Instagram, whatever. Find us, talk to us, send us a message, and we'll try to get back to you as best we can. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you back here next week for another episode.